go. We're live again this time with Joel from Zapier. Let's see if this time we can figure the technical situation out. We had some technical troubles. All right, welcome to this perspective talk again. This perspective talk is going to be in English. And I have a special guest today with Joel from Zapier. And we're going to dive into the topic of automating your workflows, automating your lead generation workflows with Zapier today. And we just want to start right into it. We have some awesome topics planned for you. There's going to be an introduction to Zapier, how the tool works, how powerful the platform is. We have Zapier lead generation and automation examples. We have got some Zapier AI topics in here as well, and also some just overall examples we want to go deeper into. If you want, you can use the chat function in Facebook and just use the space to write down some questions that you have on the topic. And other than that, let's just dive right into it, Joel. And if you want to, you can just start your screen share.
Sure.
And let's see if that works this time, because that's where we fucked up last time.
Hopefully. Let's see. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. Awesome.
Yay. So to do a little intro again, my name's Joel. I worked at Zapier for about 5 years now. I've worked in a bunch of different teams here at Zapier, including customer success. So really specifically helping our biggest customers see success on the platform. And even before that, I worked at a marketing automation platform that is now Constant Contact, helping people automate lead gen and workflows and all kinds of stuff. So I know a little bit about the topic today, and we're just going to kind of jump right in since we're a little bit behind here. And so the first thing we're talking about is what is Zapier? And I think the easiest way to understand what Zapier is to understand the problem that Zapier solves. And so when you think about business today, a lot of people use a lot of different web apps, right? You're using Perspective, you're using Google Sheets, you're using MailChimp to send your emails out. And, natively, those apps don't really work together often. And so typically, if you wanted to take information out of one platform and put it in another one, you'd have to export it out onto a spreadsheet, and then you have to manually upload it into another one. Or if you're lucky, that app may have created a native integration specific to the tool that you're trying to work with. But typically, they're not going to have native integrations for every single thing that you possibly use, right? Because we use, 10, 20, 30 different apps. And you may use different ones than someone else does. And so that's kind of where the Zapier product comes in.
Yeah.
We're essentially a tool that basically lets you connect those apps together through one platform. And typically, if you wanted to do that yourself, you would need a developer to write some code for you to perform that action, right?
Yeah.
And so Zapier essentially allows you to do it without the need of knowing code. And so that takes form to a bunch of different places, but essentially that's the product, right? We allow you to automatically move that data from one platform to the next. And
Which is
so,
exactly what most of our users are hopefully already doing. And what we're still trying to figure out is where the actual problems lie. And I hope we can tackle it with this talk as well in the Q&A section later, as well as the examples. But overall, I feel like Zapier is such a powerful tool. Whenever we get questions on how you can connect perspective with tool XYZ, the answer is always Zapier. So I'm so glad that we're diving deeper into this topic today.
yeah, for sure. And that actually leads us into kind of our next slide here, which is, essentially what can you do with Zapier? And we pretty much can do everything. We have over 5,000 apps now that we connect with. So if you use it, it's probably an integration on Zapier. If it's not, you should definitely send them an email and be like, hey, you should add an integration to Zapier so I can make some
Yeah.
automations with your tool. And you can do pretty much anything you can think of with it. If you are a little bit technical, we even allow you to create connections with apps that we don't work with. Now, that is a little bit more technical than most people are probably inclined with, but if you have somebody in your team who can do that, it's definitely a possibility.
Which is awesome. And I feel like some of our more experienced users are using that already. So this way you can pretty much connect any app out there that has this possibility as well with Zapier. The most used apps in the whole lead generation let's say, industry thing or branch, or however you would say that in English, those are present on Zapier already. You can see some of it in the little presentation we have prepared. I can see Asana, I can see the Google Drive, I can see Salesforce, Pipedrive, Slack, especially then the whole social media space as well. So there's so many possibilities to create just awesome apps with and automate your processes, really.
Yeah, and marketing and lead generation, lead management is definitely our biggest use case. So those are definitely when we get new products, most of the time they're focused around that. And when you're looking at apps that are in that space, we're very, very likely to have them already. So more than likely, we got you guys covered.
Which is awesome.
So to talk a little bit about like how does automation and Zapier um, kind of enhance the lead gen and lead management experience. I got four here that are probably the most important ones, but there's a couple more I'll talk about. So the first one's speed to lead, and if you don't recognize that saying, it's kind of one that's been termed kind of in the marketing space. It's about how quickly you can engage your qualified lead. So how fast can you send them an email, send them a text message, get on the phone with them, sign up, set up a meeting, whatever it may be. And automation really allows you to do that as quickly as possible, right? Someone
Hmm.
goes through your funnel and perspective, you can get them an email immediately after, right? Or you can notify your sales team to send them a more personalized experience or give them a call if you collect their phone number or whatever it may be. And that can really be the difference in getting that lead and securing that sale or whatever it may be, um, versus if you were doing it manually before.
I understand.
The next one is probably one people don't think about, which is data accuracy. If you're manually moving data to like spreadsheets or typing it into platforms or whatever it may be, um, I know I've done this. You accidentally delete a cell on Google Sheets, or you type in a name wrong, or you type in an email wrong, or I've
Something
seen
like
so
that.
many emails. You ever seen like an email? It's like at Gmail, but they don't put .com on it, and for some reason you go to try to send an email and you get a bad email response, right? Um,
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so the benefit here is that you're taking the data as they give it to you, and it's automatically being put in the programs and applications and tools and communication tools or whatever it may be, exactly how they gave it to you. And so that way that you kind of remove the human error out of it so that, no one, in my case, I'm guilty. I've accidentally deleted a bunch of cells on a spreadsheet before and
Yeah.
not caught it immediately. I think everybody's probably done that before, or you accidentally delete an email and you like try to go back. So
Have that happen before.
yeah, so that's one that people don't think about. That's actually really, really important, so that the data that you're working with is accurate, at least up to the point where the individual typed it in and gave it to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happens to a lot of people, I think, and just having that other layer of security is just so nice. Just knowing that data is stored or at least saved for a little time that I can go back to if I mess up. That trust that I can put into a tool and know it's gonna pretty much save me from making mistakes is just awesome. And I feel like this is something that people underestimate when it comes to Zapier because we're so focused on automating things with a tool or if it is efficiency or like making things more effective in what we're doing, um, just creating more scalability in of our processes. We tend to not look at that accuracy point or at
For
that
sure.
that you just shared. So I feel like this is something to definitely point out with Zapier, especially. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and the neat piece is that we give you the ability to go back and look at what the automations have done. So you can actually go back and say, like, okay, that's actually how they gave us the information. And you can see it moving through the different apps after it's run through an automation. So you can really pinpoint, you know, where an issue occurred, when it occurred, whether it occurred in the app where you got the data or later down the road, maybe another app had an issue. you can like kind of trace that back and see where that occurred. So we'll give you
Hmm.
like kind of visibility into where and how the data is moving as well.
Yeah, definitely. I do. I feel like people don't really um or at least they benefit off of all these awesome advantages using Zapier without really knowing about it. So I just love that we're talking about it. And what I'm really interested in also in this whole space of automating processes is not only that you can do all these things, but also how you can do all these things. So yeah, should we just go one side further and go deeper into the topic of like maybe some words that we have already started using? I think that's the next
Sure.
one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So to
Awesome.
kind of before we talk about like specific workflows and things like that, there's some terminology that we may want to go through. And kind of the first one you want to think about is when we talk about an entire workflow, when you look at our site, we're going to call that a zap. So that's your entire workflow. That's from start to finish, the thing that we're automating on your behalf. And it's really made up of two pieces. The
Mhm.
first one is the trigger. And the trigger is essentially this is what's kicking the workflow off, right? This is the thing that I'm looking for, right? And in this case, could be like a new lead coming through perspective, right? And then lastly, um, is actions. And actions are essentially what do you want us to do with that data? So these are the things like it's notify my team, send an email. Those are actions, right?
Yeah.
And then additionally, when you look into our platform, you may notice something called tasks. And a tasks are essentially how many actions we performed on your behalf. And so
Mhm.
that's basically that's how like our pricing works. Is it's basically how many tasks do you need? How many actions do you need us to automate for you? And so that way, your cost scales with how much you need to use the platform.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. And I think most of that terminology is something that people do use on a regular basis. So, this is something that is so important to know when you want to work with this platform as a newbie, especially because I guess when you read all these help articles on how to get into it, build the Zap, and you're
Exactly.
like, what's a Zap?
Yeah,
so, I love that you added these examples here as well. And this gives you a great basic knowledge as to how you can actually build a zap as well if you know what a trigger is and then also what an action or a task is here. So this is great, just basic knowledge that you should definitely just understand when you're going into using Zapier as a platform. And as a marketer, or even if you're in recruiting, going more into online marketing, this is something that is probably going to come very natural to you to understand what a trigger is for something, or yeah, what actions and tasks result from that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. This is just great, awesome,
yeah,
an
for sure,
overview we all need if you want to dive deeper into the topic.
for sure, for sure. And so the last thing I want to show here from this perspective is um, kind of like how you can kind of kick off your Zapier exploration because the first thing that people come to mind is just kind of the simple things, right? I get a new lead. Let me tell my team about it. Let me add them onto an email list, right? That's kind of the simple stuff, right? Those are the things that people instantly think of when they think about building automations. But it can kind of go a little bit further, right? Because we do have this thing called conditional statements,
Mm-hmm.
um, branching, if you will. And so these allow you to do additional things, right? So maybe we want to have different actions based on some answer that they gave to you in a field, right? And so an example here is did they buy a food item or they didn't buy some food item, right? And maybe we include different actions that do different things based on that information. And so
Yeah,
it allows you to not only customize, automation and communication and things like that, but also customize how you're engaging based on the actions that they performed.
definitely. Which is awesome as well. Like, I'm saying awesome so many times this morning. So I feel like this is also a great slide to maybe screenshot and take, or if we're going to share this presentation, make sure you take a look at this again. Um, because it not only gives you an overview of what you probably know is possible with Zapier, but also what else you can really do with it. And I have an example for you later, um, where we can also demonstrate that a little bit more. But listen closely if you plan on like adding Zapier to your automated workflows, because this is really where the magic lies, I feel like.
For sure. And then we actually have one extra step here, which is that if you are a little bit more technical, you can do a lot more stuff. So we do give you the ability to inject code right into your workflow. Or, like I said before, we can actually communicate with apps that aren't available in our marketplace, which is what this send a webhook is. This is basically the core foundation of what how apps communicate together. And
Yeah,
so you can even do that as well. And the neat thing is, you know, typically before you'd have to be pretty technical to, write some code to perform an action you want. But now with AI, a lot of times they can write it for you. And they can do the code for you and you just copy and paste it in there and you're good to go. So
definitely.
lowering the barrier even further.
Yeah, which is again, like even if you're a beginner, and I've been thinking it since we started the talk, but even if you're a beginner, Zapier is a tool that is so easy for you to learn to handle. It's I mean you're gonna share this in a couple of minutes as well, but not only does Zapier offer an easy to use tool, which is something that our users at Perspective value because Perspective is also right easy to use. But there's also a lot of content around Zapier and how you can actually implement things. So I just wanted to mention this here if you're new to the topic and you are watching this webinar, this Perspective talk, and you're like, "Hey, Lainey, hey, Joel, Zapier is a tool that I haven't worked with and I'm a little bit afraid of it." Don't be, because it's super simple to use and to get into. The learning process is super quick for you. You're going to have a skill established here in basically no time, I feel like.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we got a bunch of resources there to help you as well, including our support team. If you get stuck,
Yeah.
they're very helpful. They're super helpful. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump in and take a look at the site because I feel like that's the best way to kind of learn how to navigate and experience and see what's possible. And so the first page we're going to look at is zapier.com/apps. And you don't have to be logged in to see this page. So anybody can navigate to this page right now. You just type it into your browser. And so this is basically our directory of everything that we work with. And
Hmm.
so we have kind of all the popular stuff here at the top. We have categories on the left. You can see we actually have an AI category now. You can see all kinds of stuff that's available in here and what we work with, if that's something you're interested in. You can also search at the top. So we'll look at the perspectives page. And what you do is when you pull up a specific apps page, the first thing I want to show you is actually not at the top, it's down here at the bottom. We're going to come back up, but this is what triggers and actions are supported. And so this will allow you to kind of get
Hmm.
the brain juices flowing to say, like, okay, I want to connect these two apps together. What are these apps capable of doing? And that kind of helps you like in the brainstorming stage. And so in this
Yeah.
case, we can see perspective, you guys have two triggers here, two different ones. One's for visitor completed and one's for new lead, right? And so that kind of opens up a lot of possibilities, right? So these are something that we're going to start a workflow with. And if we actually scroll up here at the top, this first page here is basically trying to help you like, okay, I know I have these two apps and I want to connect them together. And, maybe it's here at the top, or you could search it if you wanted to. And what this is going to do, we're going to just click Airtable for fun. And
Hmm.
it takes you to a page to try to like help you start making a workflow, right? And I think this
Yeah.
is like the simplest way to like kind of start getting started if you need something really specific that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And so we make it really easy, right? You choose a trigger and you choose an action. So when this happens, and we could say, when we get a new lead, what do we want to do with it? And then it shows me the actions available within Airtable in this case. And
Yeah.
maybe I want to create a record, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Pretty simple, right? And then all we do is connect our apps and it will take us right into the editor and it will kind of already have a little bit made for us.
Which is also a great tool to just find out if an app is available, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. So you can search here. It's going to bring up everything that's available. So it's a great way to see different possibilities.
Hmm.
And if we scroll down here, Elaine should know this page because these are actually pre-made templates that were actually made by the perspective team. And so these are kind of great like kickstarts, like, oh, I need this, right? I
Yeah.
need this particular workflow, or I need this one, right? I want to notify my team when I get new leads. I want to send the messages. And what's great is you just click this and it will take you right into the editor. It's already kind of set it up for you. And all you need to go through and connect your accounts that you're going to use. Map a couple of fields, like what do I want my message to say, right? I want to say, hey, we got a new
Exactly.
lead.
You
Put
can
in
even
the,
customize it, right? We use this a
yeah,
lot in our processes as well. What we have in Slack, we have this environment of different channels that we use. For example, I have a content channel with my team. And what we also do with these perspective talks, people can apply to be a guest here, right? And then we have a little popcorn icon that automates a message when somebody applied. So whenever we get a Slack automation from Zapier, like a notification automation from Zapier. It's a little popcorn icon that we use. So
that's
you can
awesome.
really play around with it. And then, I mean, if you want to do that for several other funnels and connect it to Slack, you can customize by what we do with the emojis, or you could do different channels and map the notification to different Slack channels. It's so customizable.
For sure. And you can also tag specific people as well. So you can say, like,
Yeah.
tag this team or tag this individual. Or what a lot of our users will do is in the middle here, this is obviously a simplistic version, but you can add in like a round robin system if you have different salespeople, and it will take its time distributing out new leads to different salespeople. So there's a lot of possibilities here to kind of like jazz up your normal process, but then also kind of automate some of the communication. We do the same thing. I think we have more Slack bots than we have actual employees at this point. So
Which is kind of nice. Which is kind of nice because you have a lot of automated processes that you can just turn on, turn off. And
for
probably
sure,
everybody from your team also knows how to use Zapier, right? And then
exactly.
automate their processes as well, which is just insane. I mean, you can build such a like engine with that to have so many automated workflows. I mean, we do that. We're obviously using Perspective for our lead acquisition as well, and we also have everything automated on that side. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it says a lot that tech companies, what they call it dog fooding, which is that you use your own product. So at Zapier probably is the biggest user of Zapier because we
Yeah.
automate everything. We live by what we preach. As automation
Which
is
is
key.
awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So um, we've kind of looked at doing a workflow here, but I think, and from my time talking to customers is coming up with ideas about what to automate and how to automate and different things that are possible is one of
Mhm.
the hardest things that they have trouble with. And so if we go back here and if you go to, and again, we can get to this from the Zapier.com apps page. If you go here to resources and support and you go to our blog, and I know you're thinking, blog, what year is it? Is it 1993, right? Who writes blogs anymore? So our blog's actually pretty good, and it's not just Zapier specific. We have a bunch of different stuff available in here, but there is a whole automation with Zapier section, including inspiration, tutorials, and we are constantly writing new stuff. I think there's like 30 new articles a day or something
Yeah.
crazy. And so, like, this is a good example of something that you can find in here. How do you use AI to help you write business emails, right? That's a new hot topic. Customize your communication even more, or make a fun bot in your Slack channel with it, or whatever it may be. So all kinds of different things available in here. You have guest writers and things like that come in and write something. Maybe Lane's going to come in here and write something for us.
Yeah.
So lots of different information available in here. And additionally, kind of in conjunction to that, like once you get the inspiration, right now you got to actually build something. And that's another page here that I want to show you is learn.zapier.com. So this is actually brand new. You can't navigate to it. You actually have to have the URL of learn.zapier.com to access it. It's going to be launched later on, I think this month or next month. And so this is like our learning portal. So if you want to get in here and you want to take, maybe just kind of like an intro course, you could do that. Or maybe you want a complete guide to automating lead management. How convenient that that's right there. I didn't do that. It just happened to be there. So we have a bunch of different paths specific to what you want to do. Maybe you're looking to do something around, maybe you're trying to automate lead management, or you're trying to
Yeah.
onboard new people, or whatever it is, or maybe you're trying to learn about a new tool that we have. So we have like filters and paths and things like that that become available to make you enhance your kind of processes. And so this is a great place to kind of learn about that and learn about what's possible and how to actually implement it.
Yeah.
Um,
And also
so
learn by yourself, right? And also have content that is by you guys and not just like a random YouTube video that's maybe outdated by some years. So it's awesome to see that on your side as well. I have to make sure I link that on our Zapier help article that we have in our Perspective Help Center. We actually also offer some videos on how to exactly like map your columns in a Google Sheet using Zapier and Perspective. So yeah, I'm gonna make sure to add your guys' learning center here to the Zapier Learn to that help article as well.
yeah, and I think you really need both, right? You need not only the one coming from us, but from partners like yourselves as well. That really helps users with specific instances and specific examples to kind of get them started, and then they can kind of branch out from there.
Yeah, which is awesome also as a tool for your workflows that maybe exceed lead generation or lead automation. There's so many more things that you can automate with Zapier. Not that, I mean, we're definitely focusing on that topic here today, but there's so much more in your agency if you're a marketing agency, a recruiting agency that you can automate besides what we're talking about here today. So I would definitely recommend using your platform to just learn more about the possibilities outside of the specifics that we're talking about here today. Um,
For sure.
should we dive into some more examples, or do you have another um, link that you want to go through and share?
I just want to show one last page. This is going to be a quick
Sure.
one. So at Zapier, AI has become a big thing for us. And so we actually have kind of our beta stage. You can sign up right here to be notified, but we're going to be adding a bunch of different things. And one that you can probably think of right here, create Zap from just plain English. This is one that we're working in. You can opt into it. So you can say, when I get a new lead in perspective, I want to add it to a Google Sheet. And basically, we're making it so that AI will write and create the Zap for you and set it up for you, so you don't actually have to do anything, which I'm sure a
That's
lot of people are
awesome.
excited about. I know how to build this app, so I'm still going to use this over doing it myself, just because it'll be quicker and easier to use. So, um, yeah, with that, I will pass it off. I know
Damn.
Elena has some examples for us to take a look at.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, I'm so happy you shared the AI thing. 'Cause we just had an awesome perspective talk about just using general chat GPT and perspective or like having it write the copy for your Facebook ads and stuff like that. So I'm so excited about the whole AI thing swooping over to also the European spaces and just, yeah, having more tools out there that can help us just scale our time better that might be better invested in other things. So, yeah, that's just an awesome
Absolutely.
thing, and I feel like people should miss out on that. It's not just a trend that's coming over,
No, sure.
right? Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like we can dive deeper into some examples that I have for you guys. Um, and I want to share my screen as well because I brought you some examples that I built today. All right. How do I do it? I do it like that. All right, there we go. I also see some stuff in the chat. Oh, Brian asked if we can have some of those caps. He loves your
Oh, the
cap.
hat.
Yeah, that's awesome. Looks sweet.
Yeah, this is vintage basically at this point. People inside Zapier want this hat and they can't get it. So
Ha.
unfortunately, fortunately, we can't help you out on that one.
That's so lovely to say, though. Um, All right, so let's get into some examples. I have taken some time earlier today to show you some like examples that you can actually use in praxis and have maybe also a little bit of a tutorial on how things work. I understand that for people who are new, I said this before, but building automations can seem like this huge task, but Zapier actually makes it super easy for you to automate your lead automation processes, or to automate the process of your lead management even more. And what I want to show you guys today is actually some things that I took from our app, um, and really get deeper into how it works. So, one example that I see a lot in the community as well is how to connect perspective to Google Sheets. And for Zapier experts, I feel like this is such a classic. Like, use your lead that comes in and actually structure it, manage it, right? But don't do that manually, but use Zapier for it. And I have an example for you guys. So this is super easy to do. I wanted to show you just an example funnel. So this is just a recruiting funnel. It's the template experience recruiting in perspective. And what I did here is I named the funnel so I know what funnel I have. And I also published it today, as you can see. So it's a live funnel. And if you go into the analytics, I can see, or you guys can see, that I added some test leads here. So this is something that you generally want to do when you want to connect something. Just make sure you have a test lead, because it's going to be easier for you to connect the tools in Zapier. So that's what I did. I filled out all the questions, and also made sure to do it twice, just so I know it works, and I just have different leads that I can use. Usually just one is enough. And then I went into this overview and I just clicked perspective, which is just the integrations page for perspective. Now I can search for pairing apps. I can also already see that Google Sheets is available, so I know it's possible. What you can also do, instead of going this way, you can just go into your funnel integrations and scroll down here, and you will see all these little Zapier icons over here. So there's Gmail, there's Google Sheets. So you could also just click here and it will directly bring you to the template from Zapier. You can just try this template over here and start, and it will automatically create this app for you and just have to fill it with the information, which I already did for you guys. So I think it's over here. Exactly. All right. So what you want to click in perspective, for the app perspective as the trigger, as Joel explained earlier, is you want to use the app and then choose the event that you want to do. So here I chose new lead via funnel because I want to get all my leads into a Google Sheet. So I just add that, I continue, I connect the account, the Google account where I want the sheet to be later on, but I also connect the perspective account, which is our marketing account for this purpose. And then you want to find the funnel that you want to use, which I already did. So it's going to pull all the funnels that you have in your perspective account. And that's why I made sure I named the funnel before I actually went into Zapier, because that's just going to make things easier for me. All right. And then I actually pulled a lead. So that's why I did the test lead earlier on. And if this doesn't show you any leads, then you just have to click on load more, and it will show you the latest leads that just went in here. You can also choose if you have several ones. Exactly. So that's what I did. So now I can see a bunch of information that Zapier actually pulled from my perspective account. And then I can continue and do the same thing for my action. Again, imagine this terminology image slide that Joel brought with him. So we have the trigger set now, and now we want to do the action. So I connected my Google account here. First of all, I made sure that the event is to create a new spreadsheet row, because I don't want to create a new entire sheet or something like that. I just want a new row in the sheet that I want all my leads in. Then I connected my Google account, because I'm just going to show it in my account here. But what I also did before is I created a Google Sheet. That's just going to make it easier for me to actually connect if I already have an existing sheet, because now I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to, assign columns without a name or something like that. And then my column mapping is just going to be easier. So I created just a spreadsheet, and I named it so I know what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to know what to look for when I give Zapier the access to my Google account. And what I also did, so let's take this one out. I named all of the columns where I want the data to be. So my funnel has a bunch of questions, and then I also have just the lead information over here. And I just did that. I just took the column, put something in it. I honestly, what I did is I went to my perspective funnel and I just copied this, copy paste into my Google Sheet, and there you go. All right. So that's what I did. And I have a little tip here because you can probably already see this little bit of a nonsense here, question underscore 99, whatever that is. This is something that can help you if you're struggling with mapping the questions to the right answers, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. So basically, I put all the questions that I have into this sheet. This is just everything that I want to manage. I could have more data in here if I wanted to, but this is all the data that I feel like is important for lead automation and lead management for me later on. So I created this. All right, and now back to our Zap. Now from now on, it's going to just be easy for you. I'm connecting the Drive folder, and then I'm going to connect the spreadsheet. So what this actually does, it grabs all the data from our marketing Drive. And yeah, here you can already see the latest spreadsheet created. So Zapier is clever enough not to just be like, all right, here's your Drive, choose whatever. It's going to give you the latest sheet that you used. So it's going to be so easy for you to find what you're looking for. Make sure that you have the right worksheet connected. What is that? That is the different sheets that you can put into an entire table here. So make sure you have the right one connected. And now it's the easy part. So what you want to do here is you want to have all the names, or what it will have. I'm so sorry for my English here. What it will have here now, Zapier actually pulls all the information from the first row that you put into your Google Sheet. So you don't really have to do anything else than now assigning to the answer to the question that Zapier pulls, right? So it's super easy for you to do. You just go into your Zapier and it says full name here, which is the name of the column that I have put here, right? So I just go into here, and these are the perspective information points that Zapier pulls from our funnel. So now we just have to make sure it's the right one. So full name, all right, let me add Lead test. That was my full name in the funnel test lead that I did. And now I'm just gonna do that for all of the other ones. And as you can see, it depends on what you named the question in perspective. Because you can see here it says remote full-time as of now. Yes, absolutely. That is not a question, right? But what it does is it pulls from the first element that I used. And instead of adding the question to my element in perspective, I used it to write copy. So it's going to pull that, right? So make sure you pay attention to this. And if you're struggling with this and you don't really know if what you're looking for is actually the right fit, like if the question and the answer do really match, or if this is something wrong, what you can always do, and this is what I mentioned when I said there's these little ID things here, is you can make sure to check these if you want to. So you can just copy that from your perspective account. So what you want to do is you want to click into an answer field, and there's your ID. And then you can compare that in the answers that Zapier pulls. So this is a little secret tip if you want to make sure that you're right, but usually it doesn't come to that point. All right, so that's how easy it is. Yeah, you just go in here and select everything that you want as an answer to the question that Zapier pulled from your Google Sheet. And then you can continue and you can test this action. And this is also an important step that you want to do. I skipped it for the first one because I already pulled a test lead. But this is something that you should definitely do in your Zaps. Always test it. Because if there's going to be a mistake, Zapier is going to tell you that there is a mistake, right? So I just want to show you that that actually works. So there you go. There's your lead. There's a Lead test with my Lead test address, email address, my phone number, and everything else that I put as an answer as a test lead. And there you go. So you can now do that with all the leads coming in. You can just put your Zap live, and this is going to work automatically. And there you go. That's how you do it. Did I miss anything, Joel?
No, that was awesome. You actually nailed it. One thing I will add though is when you test an action, as you saw there, it actually performs that action. So
Yeah.
if you're gonna like test like a email send action, like make sure you maybe have like a real email in there. Don't have
Yes,
like cat picture and and then you send it out to
exactly. That's a
a
good
lead
point
or
that you're
something.
making. Because I use this like fake email address just to have a test lead, but this is actually why I did the second one, and I will show you why. This is such a good point. Like, take a look at this. So this is an actual email address. I just put the plus step, which is a trick on Google Mail that you can do to still have all the emails be received in your inbox, but use a different email address every time. Um, and this way, if I were to send an email, Joel, you're so right. I would actually receive this somewhere, and I could test it for sure. Exactly. All right, awesome. So I actually brought another example, and I hope this is something valuable for you as well. So this is a second thing that a lot of people that use perspective on a daily basis do. Perspective actually offers you to send you lead notifications when you have a new lead that comes into your funnel. This is great for you as an agency owner, as a marketing manager, as a recruiter, because then you can let yourself be notified when you have a new lead in your funnel. So there's no need to involve Zapier here. But let's say you have an application funnel, right? And it's for, let's take this example that I have here. It's for you're looking for a content marketing manager. I would do that. I'm a content marketer, so for my team I would look for a content marketing manager. And I set up the funnel, I want to take it live, and I also set up the lead notification. So every time I get a new application in, I'm notified, hey Lainey, you just received a new applicant on your funnel for the content marketing position. So far so good. But what about the applicant? They haven't received any communication at this point. So what you can do here is actually create a follow-up email. And you want to do this using Zapier as well. And I have prepared a very similar Zap to the one that we created before. So over here in the trigger, actually, it's the same thing as in the Zap I showed you before. So it's a new lead via perspective funnel. I chose the right funnel, and I made sure that's the right account. As you can see here, the trigger is the funnel. I have my test lead in here. And you can see again here, this is Joel's point. I used the right email address. And now I'm going to continue to my action. Now, instead of Google Sheets, obviously, now you want to use an email tool. For my purposes, I'm using Gmail in this case because I am using the G Suite for my communication purposes and just as my workspace environment. And if you do that as a company, I can assure you to use this as well. So now what we want to do is we want to create a follow-up email to the person who applied on our funnel. And you can apply that from recruiting to lead generation to if you want to generate appointments. Let people know that it was successful what they did in your funnel. For the application, what I want to do now is be like, hey, thank you so much for your application. I'm Lainey. You can always contact me if you have any questions. These are the next steps. That's what I want to send in a follow-up email. So I go into the action setup in the Zap and I connect my Gmail here. Want to create the right event. So there's a bunch to choose from, but obviously you want to send an email. So that's the example that I'm pulling here. Then if we continue, I connected, in this case, I connected the marketing.perspective.co email. Why? Because I wanted to use a different email than myself. So I could test this out in the end. And so I put for who I want to send it to, I put the address of my lead, right? The applicant in this case. And then everything else you can just customize however you want to. In this case, I'm sending from a marketing account. I can even put the name here, who it is sent from, who the person can reply to. In our case, I usually put the support team because that's where all of our emails go to usually. And I added an example for you guys here. Now, you can already see some HTML code, and I can already see people saying, but Lainey, I cannot code. This is like something out of my comfort zone. I cannot do that. No worries. Like, you don't have to use the HTML version. You can also go into the plain version, but this is obviously less customizable for you. But here goes my next tip for you guys. You can just Google for online HTML editor, and you can actually just write text and then click on edit HTML, and then you can copy that and use that. So it's so easy to do that. And then you go back into your Zap and you add it in here. You can even use the elements that Zapier offers you. So in this case, I added the name. So it says, "Hey, Lainey, thank you so much for your application." Obviously, this is in German, so Joel, so sorry. But for the example, it just made sense. And I added some links here. Thank you for your application. These are your next steps. Yada, yada, yada. Just everything that I want to communicate to my lead a couple of minutes, even seconds after they applied. And this is just a great way to just make sure that your lead is available for you, knows what's going on. In the end, there's always a real person behind that lead, right? So you want to make sure that they feel valued and they feel like they're right in the process. All right. And if you have an account connected, then you can always also use a signature. As I said, I'm using the marketing account. So if I were to use my personal account, it would show up. But right now, the marketing account isn't used for any personal communication, so I don't have a signature. You can even label things. So the possibilities are just endless with this. You can even add an attachment, and Zapier will make sure to actually add that as an attachment in the end. So yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here. Then you can retest that action, and yeah, make sure that you receive it in your Google inbox. So in this example, I sent it to myself as a test, and I can check that, but I cannot show you my Google inbox out of GDPR reasons right now. But I tested it and it works. And also Zapier tells me that it works. So I'm ready to publish my Zap, publish. And it's going to publish, and then it's going to be live. And every time somebody applies through this funnel over here, this person is going to get an email from me. Isn't that great? So now I have my follow-up set up. I don't need to do that anymore personally. No more need to go into my contact list and be like, all right, Magdalena applied. All right, let me text her an email. Where's my template for that maybe? So I can just automate this process, and that's that. So no more need for me to get involved into that. And one thing I wanted to add, and I think Joel, you already mentioned this earlier, and I think that your screen was a little bit better for that. So I'm just going to show it by probably just using this as an example here. But what you can do, and maybe you can correct me, is you can build like multi-step zaps. Is that how you call it?
Yep. Multi-step. Yeah. So, the examples we've been showing now have just had one action, but you can actually add as many actions as you want. I mean, we have people with hundreds of actions within one zap doing as
Yeah,
many things as they want, even with different branching paths that like branch way out and do different things for different people. I think that's one thing that you kind of slightly highlighted there with the Gmail stuff is that one of the powers is basically being able to personalize your communication, but at scale, right? You don't
yeah,
have somebody there typing the email, right? The system's automatically taking the data that they provided, putting it into the content of the email, so it gives like that kind of personalized experience. And I'm sure everybody knows personalized communication has a much better chance of getting responses
version.
or converting individuals.
Definitely. So this is such an important point also to notice. Like, first of all, the thing that you just mentioned with the time when you want to contact leads after a conversion, so important. But also you don't have to create like 100 zaps. You can just create one zap and have it running with all of these action steps. So what I'm doing here is pretty much just repeating what I did in the first step that I showed you guys. So I just add the same thing that I did for the Google Sheets here. It's not any different than what I did in the first example. And one thing that I wanted to mention, Joel, because you showed it earlier in the presentation as well, is there's an an option in Zapier, or is it an action? Yeah, it is an action, right?
Yeah.
To actually filter people. So you can actually filter leads by what they put in your funnel. So if, for example, you have a question in perspective, Let's say this is a yes or no question. You could have two different experiences in your Zap. You could say only the people who said yes can go through this Zap. And then you create a different one. All the people who have no come through this Zap. And then you can maybe send out different types of copy for your follow-up email. So damn, it's such a universe that you guys have built on over there on Zapier's platform, or Zapier itself is such a universe to explore. So you can build different automations based on that. Maybe you say only the people who said yes go into this Google Sheet, or only the people who said no will get this email list, will go into this email list. So, I mean, you can even add like email tools here and go further with it, however you want to do. And it's really as easy as we talked about today. So, yeah, this is one thing I wanted to mention really here, that it doesn't just stop with having your leads from one tool to the next. You can just add another tool and another tool and
Right.
another one,
Yeah.
and
I
go
think
further
it's,
with it there.
I was gonna say, I think it's important also to think like it's just your process, right? You're likely
Yeah,
doing these things automatically already as part of your process of handling leads and managing them and things like that. It's just
definitely.
translating it into a workflow so that it just happens automatically, right? Because you're probably adding them to the spreadsheet already. You're probably sending follow up emails. You're probably sending a message in Slack to your team to let them know a new lead came in, right? You're
Yeah,
probably creating an invoice and then sending the invoice out, or adding the invoice to a Google Sheet or into a Google Drive after you receive it back, right? These are all things that you're very likely doing already as part of your normal process, um, and very likely could just be automated, right? And then you don't have to worry about,
definitely.
doing it anymore or remembering to do it or whatever it may be.
And also, what I think is something that we get as a question, that automation takes away the whole field of like personalization and stuff like that, which is not the case. I mean, I just showed it perfectly with the example of the email. Like, you can still like while automating, personalize. Is that what it's called? Like, personalize so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, basically personalization because you know you can do that yourself, but you can only do so much, right? Only one person can write so many emails, so it's either you're going to scale your employees and you're hiring a bunch of people just to write emails for you or just to do these really specific things,
Yeah,
or especially now with AI, you can really, really send out personalized emails to individuals based on the information they provided you, and have it perform a little bit better.
100%. I believe that there's so many possibilities that even I, as like an experienced marketer, haven't even explored when connecting perspective with Zapier and the whole power behind the platform. What is most important to me whenever I build funnels is that not only I automate my processes, but also my visitors, and then also in the end my leads, who then obviously go through a user experience with me as a brand, with perspective as a brand. They receive communication that is just streamlined and just seamless. And this is something that Zapier allows me to do, especially if I connect Zapier to perspective and have just like one flow that I can just go and edit if I want to change something, or I can just scale more and grow more with that. So overall, I feel like Zapier just saves you a lot of time, and also like a lot of, I don't know how you say that in English, but like overhead. Is that what you say?
Oh,
Like a
yeah,
lot of thoughts that you don't even have to have on a daily basis that you can just save by automating things. Um, so
for sure.
I pretty much already answered the questions that we got today during the talk, which is awesome. And yeah, guys, if you ever have any major questions on Zapier, don't hesitate to reach out to our support team. We are happy to guide you to either Zapier's support team, or we're happy to guide you through all of the platform links that Joel mentioned today that really help you create the Zap that you need for your specific use case, when you want to automate, let's say, I put some examples here on the screen for you as well, perspective to HubSpot or perspective to Slack, as Joel mentioned today, or you also mentioned the MailChimp example, or you want to use Personio if you're in recruiting. There's so many things that you can do. And yeah, just make sure that your processes are as efficient as they can be, really.
For sure. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the idea is that you're freeing up your time to focus on actually like strategic work, like things that only you can do,
Yeah,
that a tool like Zapier can't do for you, right?
exactly. All right, I'm gonna stop my screen share at this point. Thank you so much, Joel. And it's just the two of us. I checked and I don't see any more questions here. I think we also had a technical difficulty, so I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, no worries.
Um, so all the questions that there might be, you can just add them in the community under this post. I'm going to share this video with you as a recording as well. And yeah, just make sure that you ask in the community so I can be the one responding to them. And Joel, thank you so much for your time today. It's so valuable having you on this talk and go through I had it on the screen, the endless possibilities of automating workflows with Perspective and Zapier. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy we got to go through everything and really showed some great examples of what's possible.
Definitely. All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the recording here. And yeah, guys, if you have any questions, make sure to post them into the community. See you next time back in German. Bye bye.
Bye.